So today we're talking about some new Zoom tips and tricks. So what you will know by the end of today's Tech Talk is how to start your own meeting in Zoom in the free version of Zoom. You can still start your own meetings using that free version. You'll learn how to blur your Zoom background, which is what I'm doing right now, which is why behind me looks fuzzy. How to add a background and change your background in Zoom, and also how to use a Zoom avatar, which is kind of funny. And then how to invite people to your Zoom meeting to talk, and then to show off your background and your avatar and all of that as well. The first thing you're going to want to do, and we're assuming that you're doing this on your phone. I'll have a little side note for if you're doing this on a laptop or a tablet. It's a little bit of a different instruction, but it leads to the same place. It's just one different thing. So the first thing you're going to do, no matter what, is to open your Zoom app. And the pictures I'm going to have are from my phone, so you'll see it in the phone version. So open Zoom, and you'll see a screen that looks something like this. It's got my information on here, but you should have these menus on here and then these icons at the bottom. If you don't see these icons at the bottom, you can tap at that part of the screen and they should come up. Sometimes they hide, but they just need a little tap to show back up. So this is to get us to the point where we can test out all our background settings and do the avatars and stuff. When you're doing it on your phone, you need to actually be in a meeting in order to change your background or change your avatar. So we're going to set up a meeting just with us so we can just play around with it. So this is what you'll do to get started. So click on meetings right here. And then once you do that, you'll see a screen like the one on the right. And you're going to say new meeting. And that'll just set up immediately a meeting with a room that you're just in by yourself so you can play around. You want to make sure your video is turned on because this is all going to be video features. You're just going to start the meeting and there you are. You're alone in your Zoom meeting. This is me alone in my Zoom meeting 2 days ago, and we're going to test out backgrounds. In order to do any sort of changes to your background or to access the avatars, you're going to need to get this menu on the bottom of your screen. I'm sure you've seen this on Zoom. This one disappears too sometimes. So if you want to tap in that lower little section of your screen to see it, this should come up at the very bottom. So this is the bar along the bottom of your Zoom screen. You see like where you can mute and unmute, stop your video, participants, all of that. You can bring the chat up. You're going to go all the way over to the right, to the farthest end of that menu at the bottom. So you scroll right and go to more. So you should see this button here that says more. And once you click that, you'll see a list that looks like this. You can access a couple of different things in here. What we're going to be interested in is background and effects. So that's where we're going to get all of our tools to change our background. Once you click background and effects, you should see something that looks like this at the bottom of your screen. So something that has these tabs that are like virtual backgrounds, video filters, that sort of thing. This is the one side note. If you're doing this on a laptop or a tablet, you may not see that more button. It's a little bit different. You might see in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, a thing that says audio and video. And what you're going to do in your case, instead of going to that more, is to click the little arrow on video and see you'll get all your options here instead. It's a little more convenient, honestly, because you have a bigger screen and they put it in there like that. So you'll have the options to blur your background and adjust your background from here. But all the other steps will follow the same process. That's just the starting point. So back to the phone. So if you want to just blur your background, maybe you have stuff going on behind you or your background's distracting or whatever, you just feel like blurring your background. All you need to do is click on this blur button. Okay. So you're in that menu and just click on blur and you can see how that looks. If you like it, you can leave it like that. If you want to turn any of these off at any point, you can just go in here and say none and that'll turn it off. So nothing you do on here is permanent. You can always change it back. So you get to play around with it and just see how you want it to be. In order to blur, just hit blur and then none if you want to take it away. So that's the easiest, most straightforward way of changing your background. Okay, let's talk about changing your background using some of the ones that they've offered. I think depending on what version you're running, you might have different preloaded potential backgrounds. You'll see here that I have like the Golden Gate Bridge and I have grass. You might have other ones on yours. You might have additional ones. Those are just the ones that they use as suggestions. So I'm going to try with one of those first, and then I'll show you how to add your own. So we're clicking here where it says virtual backgrounds in order to get to that screen. I clicked on that grass and there I am in the grass. One note that I wanted to make is that backgrounds work best if the space behind your head or the space that is in frame is in contrast to your skin tone and your clothing. Like I'm wearing black, and if I had white behind me, that would be a good contrast. Sometimes otherwise, your face, your skin, your hands, sometimes your clothes can like blur into the back. So just be mindful of that, just making sure that you have some sort of contrasting color behind you. I have enough different colors that I'm not disappearing. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is a weathercaster, a meteorologist who wore a green dress when there was a green background that they were projecting this map on. So that's why he's disappearing. So that's the kind of thing that can happen. If I had a black background, all you would see is my hands and my face because my black clothes would go into it. So just keep that in mind so that you don't disappear in your own frame. So how do you add your own background? You're going to go to virtual backgrounds where we were before, and you'll see again the Golden Gate Bridge in the grass, and say add. And then when you say add, it will give you a list of multiple sources where you could pick a picture to use as your background. In my case, I save all my pictures in my gallery. If you have another spot, like if you save it in Google Photos or something like that, you can pull from there as well. In this case, I'm just going to go to gallery because that's where my photos are. But you can choose any of these where you save photos. And I picked a picture. So you're just going to pick your picture from where it is. It'll give you the option to pick it. And I picked a picture from when Les and I were in Florida. And this is a sunset over the ocean. So you'll see me against that background. And once you do that, that picture that you selected will be saved in your virtual background for you to access in the future. Once you've done it once, you can go in there and get that one again. You can also add, you can't really see it on the screen, but you can scroll down and keep adding more pictures too. I'm not sure what the limit is, but you can add multiple backgrounds and then just change them depending on what environment you're in or what you feel like that day. You can either leave these pre-supplied ones in there or not. You can take them out too, but I just leave them there. You might want to be in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. If you ever want to turn any of this off, you can just click on that none button. So that'll take the background away. And now I look less happy because I'm not at the beach anymore. So you see, I clicked none and my background is now what my background actually is. There's another thing like this. It's a little different called video filters. And if you've seen like on Facebook, when you put frames on a picture, or like when you put stickers on it, that's kind of what this is like. It's just another way to customize your video feed if you want to. So for that, you go to video filters and it'll give you a bunch of options. These ones at the top that look like a little desk, these are just like color filters. It's not that you see that desk, but you'll see like sepia or it'll be sort of like pink tinted. The one I wanted to use is the progress pride flag. So it makes the pride flag as a frame around your image. The ones that look like this are like frames, but there's a bunch on here. You can test them out, but let's just see what it looks like with the progress pride flag. Ta-da! So that's my frame. Whenever you want to go back to just your general screen and get rid of this, like let's say I'm happy with my pride flag like that, you can just click this double arrow button and that takes you back to the main frame. You can also keep scrolling and see these ones that are like animals and stuff. I made myself a unicorn. Click this to go to your actual window once you're satisfied. So if I'm satisfied being a unicorn, I can go ahead and click that and I will be a unicorn in my meeting. If you really want to get wild, this is a relatively new thing where you can use an avatar. And what that is basically you get this stand-in cartoon for yourself that their mouth moves with you, they gesture with you, and they are all of these different animals. I think you can also make one that's sort of based on your own face, like that is a person. I haven't explored that one so much. I was more looking at the ones that are ready-made. But to get there, you click on avatars and you can just choose whichever one you want. That was me. That was my camera on me. And now I'm a panda. And then I was a fox and I made a funny face and I'm making that face, but it makes the fox make that face. So it's really kind of bizarre. It's fun to play with. You might want to make sure you're not using these when you're on like a serious meeting or like a doctor's appointment or something. So just make sure you're thinking about what the context is, but they're fun to play around if you're talking to like grandkids or something. A situation where you don't necessarily want to be on camera, you don't feel particularly cute, but you feel like you would be super cute as the fox that day, go for it. So let's see. I'm going to turn myself into a panda. Once I change it to that, it actually talks like me. So there I am being a little bunny in a pink sweater. So if you ever want to be like a magical creature in your Zoom room, this is how it works. I don't think the gestures work because I'm putting my hands up in the air right now. So it's not really gestures. It's more just the face. I think if I move my head side to side, it'll do that. Yeah, weird though, right? But fun to play with. I'm going to take myself off of that. These things are not foolproof. So make sure you're playing with such things when you are not in a serious meeting. So that's an avatar. If you want to mess around with an avatar, do it at your own pace. They have similar things like that on Facebook and stuff where you can make stuff that looks like yourself. It's just another way of personalizing it. I'm going to show you how to invite your friends to this Zoom meeting. So you can do this to show off your background, but you can just do this. You can have Zoom meetings on your own. With a Zoom free account, you can have up to a 40-minute meeting with up to 100 people. So I encourage you to just use this to connect to people on your own if it's something that you want to do. You don't have to have a paid account in order to do that. So let's say we did our avatar. We want to show everybody what we look like as a bunny. So we're going to go to participants at the bottom of the screen. Again, if you can't see this menu, you're going to click down at the bottom of the screen. So click on participants and you should see a screen that looks something like this. So it'll have you in the Zoom room as a participant. You're the only one there right now. What you want to do is click this button that says invite in here. Click invite, and then it'll give you a couple of options for how to send an invitation to someone. So you can do it. I have 2 different messaging apps. That's why it's popping up like that. But through Gmail, if you had contacts in Zoom, you could do it that way. But you just click on one of these and it'll have a pre-filled message that you can then send to your contact with a link to your Zoom room. And they should be able to just click on that link and join you in the Zoom room. And you can do that, like I said, up to 100 people. But you can have a meeting all your own for up to 40 minutes for 100 people and just invite them that way. That's just a real-time way to get people in your Zoom chat. But I just wanted to let you know that it's open to you to use with your free account as well, just on your own, and that you can do fun stuff like this and keep in touch with people that you might not otherwise.